Welcome back, everyone, to the Unarmored Talk podcast. I'm your host, Mario P. Fields, and this is episode 4 of a six-part series. If you have not, again, listened to, downloaded, and listened or watched on my YouTube channel, that's Sergeant Major Mario P. Fields, and then the playlist Unarmored Talk podcast. If you haven't watched the previous 3, I recommend you watch them. And we ended episode 3 with, the discussion of the diaphragm. And more importantly, before that, the different categories of your rate, your breathing rate, your respiratory rate. And it was just amazing. Lots of feedback. And now we're going to talk about the diaphragm just a little bit. We want to get into some success stories, real life testimony. David, good to see you for the 4th time on the show.
Good morning, Mario. Always good to see you. Very excited to talk to you today.
same, same here. And everyone, before we get into it again, I always remind you if this is the first time, your first time listening or watching, thank you so much and welcome. And if you have been an Unarmored Talk podcast supporter for going on 5 years, thank you so much because you guys know the deal. Over the last 5 years, we have raised lots of dollars that has gone to a good cause. And if you want to check out some of the checks that we have donated to support the 2 schools through our Adopt the School program, go to www.stillservinginc.com. And honestly, if the best way you want to support, just become a YouTube channel member. $2 a month. That's the minimum. We call that the JV package. No, I'm just joking. But $2 a month makes a difference. And that's how you can join my efforts while I'm living to make a difference for the next generation of humans around the world. So, that diaphragm, a lot of people, including myself, David, I thought it was just a muscle that played a small part in breathing. But that is not my understanding talking to you. What say you, my friend?
Well, I would have to say, other than the heart muscle, it's the most important muscle in your body by far.
Wow.
And the thing about the diaphragm is you're right. It kind of looks like okay, it's a strange looking muscle, but it's a muscle, whatever, right? Well, turns out that it's so central to so many other functions. I'll give you an example just real quick. If we have a
Hmm.
minute, do we have a minute to talk about that?
Oh, we do.
Okay. So the diaphragm influences 40% of the lymph of the whole body. 40%.
Mm.
And
That's a lot.
if your lymph system, if your diaphragm's not working, what that means to the lymph system, which is a part of your immune system, and the material inside a lymph node is very, very toxic material, and your body's has to struggle to uh, recapitulate with that those materials or excrete them. And what happens is the diaphragm pumping action, the movement of the diaphragm muscle itself milks along the fluid that's in this, also known as the secondary circulatory system. And so when people get their diaphragm working, an amazing thing happens. And this is very consistent, Mario. They stop getting flus and colds all the time. So,
David, every time, and I don't mean to pause you, but every time we have I can do an episode with you every month annually, man. I mean, like for the rest of my life. Every time I have you on the show, you say something to me that is mouth watering. I'm gonna put some of my humor in here. I would have never thought of that.
yeah, and so just that one little thing, people that get sick frequently, they almost always have a inhibited diaphragm. And there's something that people never think of. If you have a low back pain, it's probably because your diaphragm is not working properly. And then a person might say, "Well, I injured my low back." Same answer, which is counterintuitive. I understand that, but still, when the diaphragm's working, it makes the low back strong instantaneously. Two, it causes a reflex of other muscles to relax. The ones that are causing pain, yeah, those same muscles, they relax because the diaphragm's now doing the job it's supposed to be. And so it just keeps on going. For example, I have a weekend course. It's 16-hour course, all on just the diaphragm. And
David, it makes sense now why I've seen videos and I have friends, that are in special forces and Navy SEALs. It makes sense why they focus a lot on box breathing and to improve and strengthen the core. And when they would say core, I'm thinking the core muscle, not the core diaphragm. And now it's all connecting, listening to you, and then also watching some, the Navy SEALs or some of your special forces folks, or even top athletes.
yeah, and if there's this aspect to the diaphragm, so there's another weird one. When the diaphragm's working, you could say that it is the core muscle. Which if you go to a Pilates class, they're trying to work that muscle, but it's different in the sense that it's more of an automatic kind of muscle. You do have some control. So people think they're working the diaphragm, and in most cases, they're not doing anything with the diaphragm at all. And so you have to what I'm bringing forward for people is the idea that you have to kind of trigger it on, like turning it on like a car engine. It doesn't just kind of come alive slowly because you think how to make it breathe. That's another quirky thing about it. But so if you take two twins, one has a diaphragm that is working, one that does not have a diaphragm that's working, and you measure their punching power, the punching power of the person who has a diaphragm that's working is going to be something like 40% more delivered force. Why?
Mm,
For the same reason, a crane has to be really balanced and has to have all this counterweight. You have to make sure that the core, the center, is has uh, neuromuscular integrity, and when that's there, the amount of force that the human body can deliver is greatly enhanced. And I was working with the Navy SEAL, and so we were doing some punching power tests. And I swear to God, this is how this happened. He does the punch test after we animate his core. He does this. He looked at his fist. This is an experienced, Navy SEAL, and he shocked himself about how much force he delivered that was over and above what he's used to in that punch test. Anyway, um,
that
well, it was like that.
well, which is a great lead in. You know, the next episode, maybe we can get in some techniques and tips. But right now, that is not this episode. Give me some success stories, man. Let's
Okay.
talk about some things that you have witnessed recently.
Okay. I'm going to give you, I guess they're my personal top three favorites. Okay.
Oh
First,
yeah.
and I have permission to talk about them candidly from in every one of them. So, first one's name is Don. Don was in Vietnam. He did 3 tours there,
Mm,
and his platoon was uh, the ones that made the newspapers where they essentially uh, executed an entire village of civilians,
mm,
and they were. This is my understanding of the story. I'm not a historian, and I can't vouch for every little tiny detail. So I'm just going to tell you as I understand it.
yeah.
They were either ordered or encouraged to shoot the women and children in the head.
Mm,
And, such a thing is not something I believe that any human being can actually process.
hmm
So of course, these guys came back with some issues with PTSD. In this case, Don, when he came back, he had a family of, I think it was 3 kids. It was only a couple of months, and he lost his family, like completely lost him. They would never talk to him again.
Mm.
Some years later, he got into a relationship with somebody who already had some children. Same thing happened in a very short period of time. So another 20, 25 years goes by, he meets me. We never talked about his experiences in Vietnam, just so you know, until the very end when he wanted to share things. He was here's the situation he was in. At night, he would it looks like he woke up at night. His eyes were open, but he was completely asleep. And he'd wander the house. And if you got in his way, he would physically just punch you. He would hurt you. You had to stay away from him. His wife would talk about how she would get punched and woken up by being punched or elbowed or kicked. And of course, this is an unlivable situation. Now, Don never remembered any of these. And
Wow.
so, to his horror, he would get these stories about how he was so destructive, but he had no memory of them, which just was more traumatic. So he goes to the program, and it was only 5 or 6 weeks into it that he found not traumatic, dramatic changes in his sleep, especially. He stopped having the nightmares he talked about that happened every night of his life since the late 1960s. He slept through the night. He might wake up one time. He was not physically active in his sleep anymore. His wife was not getting bruises anymore.
Mm.
And there's this funny scene I want to share with everybody. Um, his wife is about 5 feet inches, no inches tall, and she's one of those little powerhouse kinds of personalities. And he was doing really, really well, and he was like 6, 7 weeks into it, and he's like, I think I've had enough. Uh-uh. His wife put her finger up in his face like this because he was a foot taller than her, and she said, "If you don't do everything this doctor tells you to do, I will leave you." And she meant it. And he kind of chuckled. He didn't know if she was serious or not, but she was very serious, as she mentioned a minute later. But now, Don is he walks around with a smile a lot on his face because this is a guy who didn't know what it meant to have a joyful day, uh, even a little part of the day. So
Mm.
he has this large network of friends through his church. They're living a great and happy life now. So that's number one.
And Dave, if you don't mind, what a powerful story. And was the first of all, how long did Don, right? How long did he stay with you and go through this process, if you don't mind me asking?
About two
How
and a half
long?
months.
Wow.
And,
I'm thinking a year. I was thinking a year or two.
no,
Oh my, oh my. And then so before he met you, how long was he well, you talking Vietnam. So how long was he living with this trauma?
since like I said, the late 1960s, it was in full bloom in 1971, according to
Wow.
him. And it was
Mm.
so
And
in every case, I'm going to give everybody watching a little clue about something. And this is very, very powerful. And if you're a human being, this should touch you. There comes a point in every case of PTSD wherein the person is essentially looking at a choice in their life. Do I want to feel good or
mhm.
not? And you would think that that's such a simple question. Well, of course you want to feel good, but that's not how deep psychological things work in human beings who've been through trauma. We're we get used to feeling uncomfortable all the time, and that becomes our new default normal. And all of a sudden, you feel actually normal and you feel good. It makes the person retract momentarily and wonder, I feel uncomfortable feeling good.
Oh,
And then the next step is, I'm okay with being okay.
powerful.
In my mind, in my heart, just as a human being, that's the moment the person has won the game of PTSD.
And that was one of the next questions I was going to ask you is as eh, before I even ask you this, for all the Vietnam vets out there that either watch or listen to this episode again, welcome home. I thank you. My uncle, who's a Vietnam vet, he did 30 years in the Marines from 59 to 89 and 27 months in combat. So special heart, special thank you and prayer out to those folks and families. And again, I salute Don for allowing you to share his story, become unarmored. And that was the next question. During this 90 days or so, you know, helping him, and he started to notice changes. Did he start to go? Is there some secret? Is what the hell's happening? I'm uncomfortable feeling good. Did that happen?
This is actually something that physically shows up in the sessions, and it's fairly predictable when it's going to happen. And the science of that idea is very profound in my way of thinking. Here we are, diverse kinds of people, men and women, and yet they still have this breakthrough in a 20 session program. They seem to all have it right around number 12 or 13. And it's not like I ask them some question to provoke the information. That's not what's happening. Without me guiding it in any way, shape, or form, they come out with this, hey, I got to tell you something that's really cool. That's like, I got to tell you because it's cool. It's weird. And I don't know what to think about it. And here it is. I feel okay being okay. Is that weird? Is that weird to say that? And so this is the kind of dialogue that happens. And so something's happening. I'll say that is far beyond my understanding,
Hmm.
Mario, because I can't tell you why people sort of come out of this entire experience of PTSD at around the same point in time in this process. And I want to also make one point, if I could just take another minute. I'm sorry. Uh, we start with the diaphragm and it moves into breathing exercises, but after the first session, we're working other regions of the body, the feet,
Hmm.
hands, and the legs, and the muscles on the chest and the back, and all these other muscles. So it's a whole body process um, that we use that's tweaked for the individuals, but essentially the same for everybody.
And I love that approach, total method. The total. We may start in one spot, like you mentioned, David, the diaphragm, but we're going to try to heal you in a holistic way. And and if you guys didn't watch episode 2, David's got a wonderful sense of humor, but he's passionate. And what I was listening to you, David, I was like, well, maybe maybe the magic is you offer to pay for everyone's X-rays to believe in you in your 20 sessions. If you
Yeah.
guys, it's some inside humor. Watch episode 2. How David was so passionate. Dr. Rubenstein was so passionate. He offered that to a gentleman to give him a shot, and look where we are today. And so now you have this just amazing veteran who goes, man, I'm feeling better. Any anxiety where they're going, am I going to revert back to how things used to be because I was in that state of mind for so long? And I know I've experienced that.
So the anticipation of things falling apart and blowing up, right?
Yeah.
So I would say every single person in the program brings this up because let's face it, that's a reasonable question.
Hmm.
And to answer it, I have to go back to the original design of this whole process called total relief method. I set out irrationally so to try to invent something that would give sustained relief.
Mm.
Something very profound bothered me about, going getting fixed and it lasts for a couple of days and then you got to go back. I'm
Right.
very uncomfortable with that. So my goal was to design into the whatever process it was that it had to have this sustained relief thing to it. So it forced me to look in with eyes that were different and with filters that were different.
Hmm.
And I think that was very helpful and instructive to me in the design process some 25 years ago. So,
Yeah, and total relief, total relief healing everyone in his method, David's method, and his team's method. Keyword sustain. Not I see David today and I'm feeling good for 90 days, and then all of a sudden 4 month, the fourth month comes and I'm back. Or even worse, and I just love your approach. Everyone I want to do it and you're not gonna like it. David has two more amazing stories, but we're not going to talk about them today. You're going to get it on the next episode. You guys heard it. Sustained healing, Vietnam vet, lost marriages, families, himself, had no idea he wasn't sleeping or he was with his eyes open. The anxiety, you name it. And he met with, Dr. Rubenstein in 20 sessions, 90 days or so. He is with his church, his family, his wife, who's about my size, gave him an ultimatum. Thank goodness he listened. David, you're amazing.
thank you, Mario. Right back at you.
Everyone, I know you guys don't like me for this, but that's okay. This is our fourth episode. We have two more left. But until next time, you guys have a wonderful day. You can hear me, or you'll see me on my YouTube channel in the next week or so. But I will continue to intentionally pray for you, your family members and friends, and any living being